Bobby "The Truth" Hoffman, born October 28, 1966, is a retired American mixed martial artist who competed in the heavyweight division. He is the former King of the Cage super heavyweight champion as well as the former King of the Cage heavyweight champion. Having made his professional debut in 1998, Hoffman has also formerly competed for the UFC, rings, and jungle fight. Background: Hoffman found mixed martial arts, then known as shoot fighting, after being released from jail, spending 92 consecutive days in solitary confinement for assault charges. Hoffman, a talented wrestler and football player, attended Ellsworth Community College and the University of Akron before leaving college a year early to compete in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns. Hoffman spent half of a season with the team before being released 2 days out of jail. Hoffman attended a local fight, and after the originally scheduled fighter did not show up, spectators were actually asked if they wanted to step in for the absent fighter. Hoffman accepted the challenge and won the bout. Mixed martial arts career. Early career: Hoffman compiled a professional record of 8-1 before making his debut for the Super Brawl organization in Hawaii on September 7, 1999, after losing his first fight of the night against Josh Barnett via unanimous decision. Hoffman later defeated future Pride Heavyweight Championship contender Heath Herring via unanimous decision, and then Hoffman knocked out future UFC heavyweight champion Rico Rodriguez. After following this up with 2 more wins, Hoffman was invited to compete for the Rings organization in Japan. Rings. Hoffman made his Rings debut, which was also his overseas debut, on February 26, 2000 in Tokyo, Japan at the Rings King of Kings 1999 final. Hoffman faced Georgia Olympic freestyle wrestling competitor Zaza Tkalashvili, whom Hoffman defeated via knockout only 34 seconds into the fight. After compiling 2 more wins, Hoffman fought future Dream Heavyweight Champion, Strikeforce Heavyweight Champion, and K1 World Grand Prix Champion Alistair Overeem at Rings Millennium Combined 2. Hoffman won via knockout at 9:39 of the first round. After winning his next 4 fights, 2 of which in the Rings organization, Hoffman was invited to compete for the UFC. Hoffman made his UFC debut against former UFC heavyweight champion Morris Smith at UFC 27 on September 22, 2000. Hoffman, who seemed to lack cardio and conditioning, lost the bout via unanimous decision. 8 days later, Hoffman won the Rings USA Rising Stars tournament and then had 2 more fights with the Japan-based organization before returning to the UFC at UFC 30. Hoffman faced South African Mark Robinson and originally won the bout via knockout at 3:27 of the first round, but the decision was later changed to a no contest as it was revealed that Hoffman failed a drug test for marijuana. Hoffman went 5-0-1 in his next 6 fights, with wins in the Rings organization against Mikhail Ilyukin and Yushi Yanagisawa, and also became the King of the Cage super heavyweight champion on June 23, 2001 after defeating Kawhi Kupihi via submission due to punches. Hoffman was later stripped of his title after leaving the promotion, with the win over Ilyukin being his next fight. After returning to King of the Cage and defeating wrestling star Tim Catalfo via submission due to punches, Hoffman returned to fight for the UFC at UFC 34 against Josh Barnett, who had defeated Hoffman earlier in his career via unanimous decision. Hoffman lost the bout via TKO at 25 of the second round in what was the first TKO loss of his career. Both Hoffman and Barnett failed drug tests for the fight. Hoffman for marijuana, as he admittedly smoked it only hours before the fight, and Barnett for multiple banned substances. This would be Hoffman's last fight for the organization, and Barnett would become the new UFC heavyweight champion before having his title stripped for another failed drug test. Post-UFC, after spending over a year in prison for domestic abuse, Hoffman returned to mixed martial arts competition for the King of the Cage organization. Hoffman became the first King of the Cage heavyweight champion in his second fight back after a TKO win over Jason Gotti, and then defended his title against Paul Buentello via unanimous decision. Hoffman then lost a rematch with Buentello, also losing his title, but would bounce back with 2 wins before being handed his next loss against Carlos Barreto in Hoffman's debut for the Jungle Fight organization in Brazil at Jungle Fight 2. Hoffman fought again for King of the Cage against veteran Ruben Warpath Villarreal and won via armbar submission before returning to Brazil for a bout in Jungle Fight 3, which he lost via triangle choke submission. Hoffman lost a rematch with Eric Pele via TKO before facing Tony Bonello in Australia, after the first bout ended in a no contest. The two had a rematch 2 months later, again in Bonello's home country of Australia, which Bonello won via submission due to punches. Hoffman then bounced back with a win via triangle choke submission a month later, before winning his last mixed martial arts fight via TKO only 8 seconds into the first round. Personal life. Hoffman was dropped by manager Monty Cox after reportedly threatening to kill Cox's wife and children while Hoffman was fighting in Japan. Hoffman and his girlfriend, Patricia, wed the night after Hoffman's UFC 34 loss to Josh Barnett. Weeks later, on the night of their honeymoon, Hoffman, under the influence of alcohol and Vicodin, severely beat his wife. He was later arrested and spent over a year in a maximum security prison in Shafter, California for his actions. His wife, who was only 20 years old at the time and around 125 pounds, almost died as a result of her injuries, and the two later divorced. Championships and accomplishments. Fighting Network rings. 2000 Rising Stars Heavyweight Tournament winner. 2001 Rings Openweight Championship Tournament runner-up. Icon Sport. Super Bowl 13 Heavyweight Tournament runner-up. King of the Cage. KOTC Super Heavyweight Championship. 1 time. KOTC Heavyweight Championship. 1 time. First. 1 successful title defense. Mixed martial arts record. Professional MMA record for Bobby Hoffman from Sherdog.